welcome. I'm introing this video. I've been sitting here waiting for a video to export, and I've just been like finding new EDM music to listen to, and was like just jamming out, and I was like, wait, I can totally start my vlog. Which was silly of me. Hi everybody! I've already read one of the books, so we're already doing this out of order, but what can you do? Hello, how are you? My name is Sam. This is my channel. Welcome. We're gonna do a reading vlog. Woo! The concept for this video was I wanted to read booktubes best books of 2025, but obviously there's going to be a lot. I don't want to get stuck reading like the best of the best. Like, I'm going to give you my predictions of what I think is going to be in like the top 10, top 20 of booktubes best, just based off what I have seen, what I've seen on the internet. I don't know if Katie Coulson will be doing her like collecting and compiling everything. I think booktubes catched on to the fact that she's doing this. I don't know how much her Patreon members are helping, but I do know that we seem to be releasing our favorites sooner and sooner in the hopes that Katie will see it so that we can be in her video. And I do love that the community just like comes together for this task in which we don't speak of because Katie puts so much work into it. I don't know if she's doing it this year. I'm not a patron. I don't know what the ins and outs are of her secrets, but I do know what I have seen, and so I'll eventually share that in this video. But I figured, so I don't get stuck with too many things, I'm going to be reading some of people's favorite books, the best books of 2025, the books that I've seen multiple times. The twist is that I have to find this book on at least one person's worst of the year. So I have 5 books that I've compiled, and from the books that are like popular that I've seen more than one person review, at least one person I'm aware of gave it probably 1 star. It was on their worst, so it's probably not great. So I thought that would be a fun concept. I've got 5 books. They're all, oh, are they all romantasy? No, 2 are fantasy, 3 are romantasy. I don't know what it is. There wasn't really a lot of horror on people's list. I know there was like some on favorites, not so many on worst, which is interesting, but yeah, that's the concept, that's the video. Welcome to the vlog. I will be going under a little minor transformation. It's so exciting. So I'll take you guys along for that, whatever else I get up to in this week. But we're just gonna read some kind of, honestly, a little bit intimidating, kind of chunky fantasy and romantasy books. And I'm gonna have a blast. I'm really excited. These are all books that were like already on my radar, that I was already interested in reading. I own 2 or 3 of them, 2 of them. So it was just like, yeah, let's do it. So here we are. Let's go. Enjoy. Hi. I feel like I look rough. I probably look normal to you guys, but I did get my wisdom teeth out, all 4. Woo! Today's day 5. Today's day 5. I've been bedridden for a very long time, which is hard to be bedridden with little motivation to do anything because you're feeling bad, because your mouth is, you know, recovering, and on top of being stuck laying in bed recovering, the news is happening. Scary times. It's bad. And yeah, so my plans of like, I'm gonna get my wisdom teeth out and I'm gonna read so many books and it's gonna be so great. That didn't really happen the way that I'd planned for it to, but that's okay. I am here to talk about the fact that I read and finished Tusk Love. I was trying to find my copy of the Hurricane Wars because it's the same author and I don't remember her name at this moment, so I'm so sorry, but Tusk Love, I read it. I am so sorry. I'm a bad booktuber. When I thought of the concept of this video, I was like, this is so genius, and then I like proceeded to take bad notes. So I only remember that like 2 people had put this on their best. Couldn't tell you who, but I can tell you that with Steph, who I've watched for many years, did not like this book and gave it 1.5. So it was on her worst. And so I'm like, the concept is there, but I don't have the right notes and receipts to be like, look. So that was my bad, and I do apologize, but what can you do? But I finished Tusk Love, which is a Critical Role sort of novel. It's a novel that's set in the world of Critical Role. I believe through campaigns 1 through 3, because those are all in the same universe. And then campaign 4, which is like a separate thing. Tusk Love is following Guinevere and Oscar. Oscar is like this rough, rogue, bad, tough boy orc. And you have Guinevere, who's like this prim and proper lady who has always longed for an adventure, And I don't know how much is like in the synopsis. I don't want to like spoil too much. A merchant's daughter who yearns for adventure gets more than she bargained for when she falls in love with a broodingly handsome stranger in this saucy romantasy. Guinevere longs for a life unbounded by expectations for freedom and passion and adventure. It's like a whole thing about like following, like you have a destiny, and if like you choose to follow destiny, or if you're going to choose to follow like romance and what's, you know, opportunities that are opening up to you. And I did like the overall like messaging and themes. I thought it was very sweet. I can understand like people going into this and going, oh no, it's a Critical Role thing, like I can't read it because like I don't know what's going on with Critical Role, I don't play D&D. I don't think you need anything like that. Like I do think that if you have some knowledge of D&D, you might pick up on a few things here and there, like fantastical wise, but talking is so hard. But reality is that this book is just a high fantasy bodice ripper. That's it. It's all about the couple, their feelings for each other, them having misunderstandings, them ripping each other's clothes off and then saying, oh no, this is not proper, we can't. You can't look at my ankles like this, but also what if we go take a bath together? Like, it is not a book to be taken serious. It is very silly, very haha, very funny. I cannot wait for Aaliyah and Richie to someday pick this up because I think we're gonna have a great discussion around it. We don't have plans for it, but it is going on the recommendations list because it's just fun. It's kind of camp. It's just a good time. I really actually enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I would. I didn't really have a lot of like expectations going into it. It has a 4.10 average rating, which is really good. 14,000 ratings. I don't think you need to understand D&D. It has nothing to do with Critical Role. It is a book that a character in Critical Role is reading, and somebody has just like turned it into an actual fiction book for us to read. Like it's just like a meta type of thing, but like you don't need to know who Jester is. Like that has nothing to do with it, you know? I do highly recommend watching Critical Role if you don't want to sit through so many hours of the campaigns. You could always watch, if you have Amazon Prime, The Legend of Vox Machina and newly out The Mighty Nine. You can catch up if you're curious what it's about for like an animated version, but I love Critical Role, so surprise, surprise, I like the book that's set in a Critical Role. I listened to the audiobook. I think the audiobook was really well done. I also really enjoyed the writing style. It was just kind of silly, a little bit dramatic, a little bit out there. And I actually had a lot of fun with it. I laughed out loud multiple times. I was giggling. I thought the characters were very funny. There was this one moment early, like 2 hours into the audiobook, so it's not a spoiler, but there was this moment when they're like walking through the forest, and she's of course like the classic damsel in distress. She doesn't have life experience, and she's being destroyed by mosquitoes, and they're walking through the forest. Things are rough. She's a princess. She's not having a great time. She's like, this kind of sucks, but she's trying not to complain too much. And then a troll comes out and she starts screaming, and then she starts coughing because she swallowed a mosquito, and she just starts throwing the biggest temper tantrum, and the troll is just so astounded, aghast by her reaction that he doesn't know what to do, and Oscar's able to get to the jump on him. It was just such a delight. I love those little moments of just like absolute ridiculousness that you could see in a campaign. Like that would happen. Like you roll a bad charisma, suddenly you're screaming, you're very scared, bada boom, you've swallowed a mosquito, and you get the jump on the troll. Like it's so fun. I really, really enjoyed it. I would honestly love more high fantasy bodice rippers. So if you have any, please recommend them to me. I didn't know this was like the kind of bodice ripper that I needed in my life, but apparently that's what I've been waiting for. It's just orcs and magic. Who would have thought? But yeah, that's my little update. I gave it 4 stars. I don't think it was a perfect 5-star book. It definitely gives a lot of those like fun, happy feelings though, and definitely like a nice reprieve from the world around me. I listened to this while I was still in the office, so I listened to it a couple days ago before the Wisdom Teeth came out. And it was nice to just listen to and enjoy a little bit whilst working on a deadline. And so it was just like a fun time. I have to actively try to not laugh out loud because I am in a very open public space when I work now. So I don't have like the privacy of like laughing at books, which is fine. I just have to be a little cautious. That is my overall update for Tusk Love. Oh, author is Thea Ganson. It's right in front of me now because I opened up the synopsis. I think it was quite well done. I am I don't know if I would say I'm like that excited to pick up the Hurricane Wars, but this definitely has made me more intrigued to pick up the Hurricane Wars because I was pretty turned off. I was like, I don't know, it's Star Wars fanfic, but like a romantasy. It's still in space. I don't know how like separate from Star Wars it's going to be. It's like a Reylo fanfic. And so I was like, I don't know. I hadn't been super interested in it, but it was recommended to me last year for Battle of the Booktubers. I got a physical special edition from, I think, Crate, I think. So like I have it, so I should read it. But now that I know that like I don't detest this author's writing style, I think I could actually pick it up and maybe enjoy it more. So that was a fun little tidbit for me, something nice to learn. I will go now. I have to edit. And then I think I took today off work because I'm like recovering from the wisdom teeth and whatnot. And so I was like, I'll take one extra day because I was in bed for 5 straight days. And I was like, I just need a day to like do dishes. I've lived off pudding for too many days. I'm gonna try a twice baked potato tonight. Wish me luck. I don't know what I'm gonna pick up next. One is an audiobook only, and then 3 of them I can like physically read along. So it'll kind of depend. I need to finish a different, totally separate book. One of my most anticipated though, because my Libby Hold is due tomorrow, so I need to finish it before then. So I probably won't start the next book until tomorrow evening, if anything. So I'll check in with you guys when I have an update at the very least, okay? Hi, sweet pea. I did my hair. What do we think? This is the first time that I've dyed my hair like fully. I went darker, did the fun trendy fronts. This is the first time I've dyed my hair since high school. I used to get highlights and it's been a hot minute since high school. So new hair, new me. What's good? Hi. I did not take you guys to the salon with me, mostly because my hairdresser and I were just yapping for 2.5 hours about stuff, mostly with my parents. So you didn't need to be there. That. So I didn't show you the salon process, but I did get my hair done. So that was it. That's all my update. I'm hopefully gonna read one of the picks either tonight or probably tomorrow. So I'll check in with you then. But I talked about my hair and then I didn't take you, so I felt bad. So here we are. Hi. Hi. Guys. So I've made progress. I'm exactly 50% into our Vicious Oaths, and I feel so bad that I'm not liking this. I kid you not, chapter 4, we are having a sexual scene between our 2 leads who don't know that they're the 2 leads. And then like the events that followed after that, I did not really like and appreciate, and I'm really struggling with this story. I think a lot of my struggles come from the fact that we are being told a lot about these characters and then their actions are proving to be entirely different. I'm being told that our main character is this strong, empowered female badass. And then she is literally mush around our main lead, who is also meant to be like this strong, powerful, unafraid to like torture children type of ruler. And he's supposed to be just so strong and powerful. And literally like, as she's explaining, like, we probably shouldn't try to torture a child, he's like, God, I want to sleep with her so bad. The sexual scenes are first 50%, so many, like more than 7, I think. Too many for the beginning of a book. I understand that this is a standalone romantasy. It's still, like, too much for me. And it happens at the most, like, ill times. This book has such, like, a serious tone. It's very intense. It's dark. There's a lot of serious things happening. And they're so horny. Like, teenagers who have just learned what sex is. Like, it is almost unbearable. So, I'm really struggling. I have, like, 2.5 hours or 3 hours left of the audiobook, and I genuinely don't know if I should DNF or just push through and finish it. Like, I've not been reading a lot, I haven't been finishing a lot of books. Once we're about the 50% mark, that's when more plot is happening, but I'm just like, it's just like, I don't know. Like, I paid for the audiobook so that I could read it for this video, and I'm not having a great time. I don't like the characters, there's really no plot, it's just smut, which if you're into like an erotica type story with like fantasy elements, sure, but when I'm reading romantasy, I do want there to be a balance of plot and romance. I want to be rooting for my characters, I want them to make me swoon, I want them to have banter that makes me kick my feet. I'm currently reading a different romantasy that's doing exactly that, and so I'm just really struggling with not liking these characters. They're perfect for each other because they're so similar, but I just don't care about them or what's happening in the plot. All of you guys are probably going to tell me to DNF, but it's like also a very popular new release that a lot of people are talking about. I know it was in Bree's favorites, and I also know that it was in Meredith's worst favorites? That's not how that works. Meredith's least favorites, and like worst books of the year. And so like, guys, I just don't know what to do. Hello, I have very few plans for this weekend except for reading the books for this video because I am not calling it a slump, but haven't been reading nearly as much as I would like to be. And so we're gonna rectify that today, and we're gonna try and bang out as many books as humanly possible, almost like a mini 24-hour readathon. I just need to force myself to finish things. So we are currently in sprints, hence the microphone by my face. Me and Chloe, we're gonna be going for maybe 2-ish more hours, probably 2 more sprints after this, hopefully. I've started our next book, Diary Bound. Everyone's very convinced that I'm not going to like this, so it's very fun going into it being like, everyone thinks I'm gonna hate it. It's still early on. I'm gonna say I'm 75 pages in, so very early on. I want to say that's like maybe 10-ish%, 13%. I'm not hating it yet, but the setup is giving Hunger Games. You've got the Gale-like character Lee, who is like the lover of the childhood of what was before the change. And then there's the younger sister, who is the inciting incident that starts the story that sends her off into this deadly trial of things, but it's more academic, it's military. And then you've got what's going to be the new love interest, the PETA of it all. So it's definitely got more of a Hunger Games setup, but it's not going to be dystopian. And everybody compares this to Fourth Wing. They say this is Fourth Wing, but instead of dragons, you have wolves, which is interesting because the whole time they're saying like, oh yeah, it's the bonded trials, which only happen sporadically every couple of years or whatever. And there's about 100 direwolves that need to bond, and there's about 1,000 recruits. So obviously not everyone will be bonded. Clearly our girl, special main character, it only makes sense that she will be bonded somehow, some way. But I have been convinced the first 50 pages that when they're saying you're being bonded to a direwolf, my like full thought, it was like, the direwolves are the shifters. Like it's a person that they're bonding to, and it's like gonna be like a fated mates situation. And I don't think that's what that is. I think they literally mean that they are just wolves. And I'm not sure how to feel about that, but we're seeing a lot of the class dynamics in the story where she's from like the outskirts, if you will, versus the direwolves, the bonded, who get to live a life of privilege and luxury. They get the nice furs. Their kin are the ones who get the like leg up in any trial. Like they're prepared, they've got all this great gear and equipment, like they're ready for these trials, whereas the people who are trying to get a better life don't have that. So we're having a lot of class conscious conversations, and I don't feel like it's really a spoiler because it happens within the first 50 pages, but her younger sister Saris goes missing. She is kidnapped by what seems to be the Nabbers, which I hate. I do appreciate that she addressed that it's a funny name, and she's like, it's a silly name to make light of the situation so it feels a little bit less real and it feels more like a legend, even though it's like actively happening. But basically the Nabbers are vampires outside of the wall, and like inside the wall is the king and the wolves and the king's royal guards, which are the wolves, the bonded. And so like I get it, but it's not something that I'm obsessed with yet, but it has made me feel emotion so far. I've laughed, I've cringed, I've questioned things. So it is a so-so read at this current moment. Again, 75 pages in, we've got a long ways to go. I think at my 3 times speed, this is going to take me about 7 hours and 15 minutes. So I've got a ways to go still. I have 6 hours and 21 minutes left. So I've basically read an hour of this so far. So I don't think I'm going to hate it, but I have also been told that like it uses a lot of like modern slang, which bothers me in these types of books, because why would they be saying things like full stop, no cap, whatever, insert modern slang here, because it just doesn't make sense in these kinds of worlds. But that's just like a me problem. But yeah, everyone thinks I'm gonna hate this. I'm not hating it yet. There's still plenty of time for that to change though. I had never cared too deeply for Lee and Marin's relationship, which is like the Gale and Katniss of it all. I didn't care for Lee, and it's also like we're coming off me finishing my best book of the year, my favorite book, my most obsessed book, where every single character in the story made me have some type of emotional breakdown. And so having like a sex scene in chapter 5 with this lead character who I know is not going to be the end all be all romantic lead, I was like, why am I here? I don't care. So it is interesting. But anywho, those are the thoughts. I wanted to check in. I will see you guys in a little bit. I'm not sure how often I'm going to check in, or how it's going to depend on like the thoughts that I have towards this book, really. I might wait to check in until 50%, but if like I feel like there's a lot more to say between then, I'll probably pop in and be like, crazy. So we'll see. This is going to be an interesting read for sure. Hi. It's later in the evening than I wanted it to be for this check-in. I'm only 40% in. Once we hit the 20% mark is when it really slowed down in pacing. I think partly because like that's when we get to the school, that's when like the motivations don't necessarily go away. Like she does think about her sister and she does still want to do that, but like we're only going to be in the school for 4 months and she can't leave because of her bond, but it's kind of feeling repetitive. But I think because I have such a like deep love for Fourth Wing and how it was constructed, and like even though yes, I see the issues that people were pulling out of Fourth Wing on their read that I was like, yeah, that's valid, is kind of the issues that I'm having with this book. Like it didn't bother me in Fourth Wing. I felt like the logic of it made enough sense, whereas in this I'm not getting enough answers for it to feel worth everything, if that makes sense. Like I don't feel like it's telling me enough world building for it to make sense. Like, why is the pack so deadly? I understand, like, in nature that wolves do eat or kill, like, their weakest pup. Like, if a pup is sick, they'll do it. But to have this many deaths where it kills the wolf and their person at the same time, no matter what, like, at least in Fourth Wing, a lot of the dragons could survive the deaths, especially early on within the bonding process. Whereas, like, this one, they show signs of weakness and their wolf kills them and by doing so kills themselves, and I just don't really understand like why, because wolves are inherently more pack animals than dragons. Like dragons you see as like solo creatures that watch over their own hordes and whatnot. Wolves are pack animals. Like wolves hunt in packs. Wolves have symbiotic relationships with a bunch of different animals. So like why would they be so flippant about death in this? I don't fully understand. And I know people have that same exact complaint about Fourth Wing, so I can't explain why it doesn't bother me in Fourth Wing, but it bothers me here. But it's like, why? Why? I have so many whys for like the whole world building. Like, why? Just why? But anywho, I'm not like having a bad time with it. It's just not like been my favorite so far. Not a lot of romance is happening in this. So if you're like really eating up romantasy because you want more romance in your book, I know it's going to get to that point. I can already see what's going to come in this little love triangle. I see what's happening. Nothing has like super shocked me. I'm not against it, but so far, because it is quite plot focused, even though nothing is happening except for like, we're in training, I learned school stuff, my wolf hates me, it's not the most interesting of a read because there's not really plot developments either. It's just school, but it's not like interesting school. I don't know how to explain it other than that, but I think I'm actually gonna go crawl in bed to finish this though, just because it's late and why not take off my makeup and like get comfortable. I'm having fun though. I'm happy to be reading. I've taken a couple breaks here and there. Like when I eat, I'll watch YouTube. There was a point after the live where I like needed like a little power nap, so I watched some YouTube. So I've kind of been taking breaks. Like this book has been quite easy to put down and walk away from, but that could also just be my mood towards reading right now. So yeah, it's been fine. But me, this book, are gonna crawl into bed and we're gonna read. I'm gonna take off my makeup. I'm gonna finish the book and I'll probably check in with you guys tomorrow and I'll just like write down all my thoughts if I have any. But I've not had many since we like got past the 20% mark. Like it slowed down so much that I'm like, nah, you know. But maybe when the romance starts, I'll feel a little bit different. Hello, happy Valentine's Day. Little mini life update. Work is kicking my butt. The new schedule, I keep thinking that like I'm so on top of like reading and all these things, and then I'm like incapable of doing anything because I'm just working to the bone. So apologies for the weird posting schedule that I have during tax season. That's a part of my life. Anyway, we are here because I finished Direbound, and I have so many conflicting feelings about this one because in some ways I did enjoy it and I liked it, and a lot of other ways I'm like, this wasn't good at all. Solid setup. I really enjoyed the setup. I was liking getting to know our characters in the world, and then we get to the school military setting and it lost me. The trials were boring. The characters were fine. I did like that we had a larger cast of characters and like I did care enough about them. The stakes didn't feel as high as I was being told they were, if that makes sense. But then 60%, the last 40%, incredible. Like that 20% to 60% was just repetitive and boring and compared to like the first 20% compared to the last 40%, where like that's where the romance is happening. That's where the plot begins. That's when we get the reveals. So I struggled with like the middle bits where it's like I didn't hate it. I was enjoying my read, but it was really hard to not, like, I couldn't turn my brain off the same way I could with Fourth Wing. I can understand, again, like I think I already mentioned, like the people that complain about Fourth Wing, I agree with a lot of the things that they say, but it didn't bother me during my reading experience. This one, it kind of bothered me a little bit more because we are getting a romance throughout the whole book that I did not care for, that I did not have an interest in. It was a already established year-long relationship. And then like you learn more about them as a couple and their dynamic. And I was just not interested in them. Any of their sex scenes, I was like, get out of here. I was just not into Lee as a character as much, which is okay. Obviously, it's like setting up for a love triangle and like there's will they, won't they's. And like we, the reader who have read books like this before, we know so much more than our main character, which is fair and valid. Like I'm not holding it against her as a character or the author for writing it that way because it makes sense logically to the character to not know what's coming. But for me, the reader, it felt very, not unsatisfying, but just a frustrating read, knowing that one example that's not too spoilery is that her wolf has a mate and she doesn't know who the mate is. And that's like a big pet peeve of hers. And I'm like, but I know who the mate is. My light is flickering. Oh, it's that light that's flickering. Is it fine? Is it fine if my light flickers? I thought that I changed the right bulb, and apparently I didn't. So it definitely comes down to like a similar discussion that I have about the Lightlark books, where people who like Oro like that stable golden retriever, nice guy, and people like me who like Grimm, we want the shadow daddies. We want the guy that has like the fun banter and is protective and has different attributes, which is fine. There's somebody for everybody, I guess. But I didn't like Lee as much, okay? Oh, another thing that I'll say about Lee is I have nothing against like them in a relationship. I don't know why her and Lee love each other and why they're together beyond like having a zing and like it was convenient and like a good timing. Like you find the right, it's not that you find the right person at the right time, but it's like you find a person who is interested in the same thing that you are at the same time. And so you kind of not necessarily settle for each other, but you find each other in those moments. But besides that, like I couldn't tell you why they were together. And the Lee that I know as a character, how he acts around her mom and her little sister, like that guy is so different in the sex scenes that I was like, this isn't, I didn't like it. It made me really uncomfortable. It was a little bit too aggressive of sex scenes. And I know that like that's what she was wanting and that's what she was kind of into, but it just kind of felt weird. And I know that like there was a slight purpose to some of that, but it still wasn't my cup of tea. But once we got to the 60% mark, we get one of the, I guess, reveals, one of the plot points. Once we get more banter, once we get the forced proximity, the training montages, I was really eating that stuff up. That's like my favorite part of romantasy books. It's one of those books, like when you're in it, when you're reading it, it's over 600 pages. Like when you're reading it, it's fun and you're not thinking too hard about it. But like the second you take a step back and you just think about like, oh, she's a trained fighter. She's like the best fighter in the world. She can take down men in the streets like nothing. And then suddenly like she's no longer good at fighting because she enters this military school. And like I get that there's different skill sets to sword fighting versus fist fighting. But she's like fist fighting later in the book. And like I get that he is an alpha character. And so he's like bigger and faster, but she has the skill and technique. So there were just like small things like that just for the plot's sake, for convenience sake, she had to like be less good so that we could have these moments, which I like the moments, don't get me wrong, but it was annoying. Another really, really big pet peeve that I had about this book is the whole situation is like, she's a common girl. She's from the lower part of town. And the bonded are the elite society ruled by the king. And the bonded are often like the king's close guards. The way that this woman had class consciousness at the beginning and was like mad at the bonded because of their privilege and like was mad at the way that people were treated. And the audacity of her to come towards like the end of the book and be like, you know what? It's not the bonded's fault that they're privileged. It's just the king's fault. And I was like, I'm sorry, what? That's like saying that I, a white woman, don't have any privilege because I'm white and it's actually the government's fault. That's not how systems work. That's just... It's like we got so close to like trying to say something about class and be class conscious and like have these conversations. And like, yes, obviously the king is the objective ruler and therefore like the the top of the system, but like, what do you mean? Like, yeah, they're still benefiting from the system and they don't want any change. And what really pissed me off is the second she becomes bonded, or like she's in the school to become bonded, and she's like getting to know people who are bonded from bonded families, the elites, the way that the families pass down just knowledge and money. And for her to be like, this is so unfair, to then start benefiting from the privilege because she is basically the bonded, and now suddenly they're not the problems because she's benefiting from it. What do you mean? What do you mean? It's like, you can always get something out of a romantasy book. Like, there's often rebellions, there's often conversations about systems and justice, and it bothered me like no other book has in a very long time, but how she's like, I see the problem, not the problem anymore. It's like the most liberal take of just like, well, because I'm benefiting from the system, I actually don't want to change anything about it. I just like want to like get mad at the king, but like, we're not going to push it because I'm actually really comfortable in my life of privilege now. The sheets are really soft and I didn't have that back home. It's just, that pissed me off, okay? That made me really mad. But to wrap up my final thoughts for this book, I overall like liked a lot of it. I also had some like big critiques and issues with a lot of it. So I don't know where I land. I can understand why people are like, Sam, you're not gonna like this, because yeah, she says, great, I'm cooked. And that makes me want to die on the inside and outside. I hate modern slang and lingo like that, especially in a romantasy book where it's like, you're telling me America doesn't exist and there's only two nations in this entire world, the wolves nation and the vampire nation, and she knows I'm cooked? I can't. It takes me so out of the story. And so there's just like a lot of moments like that where I was like, it's taking me out of the story. It's making me realize that I'm reading a book. It's making me realize that it's a book written by two authors who are very much trying to capitalize on the trends. And like, I can't fault you for that. Get your bag. Am I interested in the second book? Yeah, because I like the other dude. But at the same time, I have a lot of critiques about it. And like, I'm hoping with the second book, we can kind of come back to the class consciousness of it all and be like, actually, yeah, no, we have to change like the whole system. It's not just a king thing. It's not just all talk. I want to see action following that. So I don't know. I'm very confused on like where I land. It feels like a 3-star book just because like there's reasons why I can definitely give it 1 star, and there's reasons why I couldn't give it I could not give it 5 stars. But it feels closer to like that 4-star, 2-star range. So it makes sense to just like flat give it a 3. I am interested in the sequel. Like I mentioned, I will continue in the series. If the second book is just god awful, then I won't be continuing, but I was interested enough. I had a fun time. It definitely distracted me from like my real life woes, and so I was having a decent enough time with the story. I just, taking like that step back, looking at the story for what it's telling me, I had some real issues, which is why I can understand why people are like, Sam, you are not gonna like this one. You're not totally wrong, but you're also not right, which is not where I thought we would land on this book, to be honest. I can see why a lot of people would not like this. I wouldn't necessarily recommend this to every person interested in picking up romantasy, but if you're like a diehard Fourth Wing, if you don't mind the like turn your brain off type of reads, this could definitely be for you. So I'm not gonna dissuade somebody from picking it up, but definitely like you're gonna invest some time in this book, so just like be wary of some of the things. But anywho, that's my review for Direwolf. I spent my day off just in a panic, just being like, I need to go back to the office, which is not a fun feeling to have. I'm not normally the person that like wants to work and wants to like tie my life to my job, but tax season really does something to my brain where it's just like, no, you gotta do it. You gotta be at work at all times of every hour. This video is now late and I'm stressed about that on top of it. I don't need to be. Nobody cares if like I missed a couple uploads here and there. Like, you get it and I appreciate it, but it is annoying because I was planning to read both The Raven Scholar, which is so chunky, and also Calabasas. Also chunky. I've officially DNF'd Our Vicious Oaths. I can't. It's too horny for me. I can't do it. I can't. I simply can't. I was like, I'll just start skipping the sex parts, and I was skipping so much that I was like, it's not worth it. I'm so mad that I spent money on it. It's fine. So that's where we're at. We're 3 books out of my 5 down. We might just cap it at like Calabasas. Like we might just read Calabasas and like get to the Raven Scholar later, which I feel bad about because I keep putting it off and I'm so excited for it, but time constraints in life and I want to get content up, so that's where we land. That's where we're at. Oh my goodness me. Direbound. Interesting read. That is all from me for now. I will check in with you guys probably when I start Calabasas or make some significant progress into it. Okay, I just want to talk to you so much, but I have to go. You have to let me go. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Fans aren't too loud, but I'll try and make this quick. I have officially started Calabasas. I am like 80 something pages in, 81, 82 pages in, and we're about to enter like the Pride section of Hell. I've enjoyed how Hell seems to be like interpreted and explained with like different rings or whatever, like different levels, or in this case, like pizza pies. I'm enjoying the like explanations to Hell, as well as like pulling from different classical works to be like, this is what Hell might be, and then going and experiencing it themselves. I'm enjoying them as characters. It feels very like friends to potentially an almost lovers to like rivals to like not friends whatsoever, but we do seriously jump right into the action. Like they almost like first chapter they are summoning the little portal to Hell, and they're going. So I appreciate like us just jumping into the action and getting to know the character as we go. The professor we're saving kind of sounds questionable, and I know like this whole story is kind of a critique on how far we'll push ourselves in academia and like doing questionably moral things sometimes. So I am intrigued by it. I was nervous that it'd be a little bit too big brain, but so far it's pretty straightforward. I'm liking it, but I've also been really good at walking away from it. So I started reading it. I got 80 pages in. I put it down. It's been a couple days. So we're going to try and make some serious progress today. And I'll probably see you in the morning when I have some thoughts and opinions on this. But so far, it's fine. I'm excited to get to know our characters. They seem pretty unlikable, so hard to say. Hello, I am... Hello? I'm checking in because I have made it to chapter 21 of Calabasas. I just finished chapter 20. And chapter 20 has probably been my favorite so far, where we're really getting like the inside look to Law. I don't remember her first name. But I physically read the first 100 pages to like kind of get used to the writing, immerse myself into the world. I'm liking this narrator, luckily. I've really slowed it down. I'm listening at 2.4 whilst doing like chores now. And I got to 60%, so that feels like a victory for me because I have been slogging through this read for no real reason. I think a few things. Obviously, I'm in tax season, so coming home to sit down and read like this pretty like in-depth academic yet also hell-based book is kind of a lot. I can definitely see like the point, the messaging of like how far we go when we're in academics, especially like higher academics, when you're trying to achieve greatness, you're trying to like write these papers and get credit for things, and it's a lot further and higher up in academics than I had gotten. So I see like the point. I like the conversations and topic, especially chapter 20s, because we're really getting like the backstory where she admits like, I'm coming to Hell to find him / save him because I feel guilty for his death, because she had like a potential part in it, but also learning the backstory of like what really led her there and how men on like campus and academics use a lot of their power against people, and also just like how women are treated in academics. They're kind of seen as less than still and not as intelligent. So I like the discussions. It is a bit heavy, of course. I really like the interpretations of Hell, and I think my only like complaint, I guess, is that definitely like at times people are being name dropped. Like a lot of philosophers and
authors and all of these people that I'm not familiar with. And yes, enough of it is explained. Like, I can still understand the story without having this context, but I definitely understand the people who were like, you have to have all the context, you need to have the required reading list before you get into it. Like, I get it to a degree why people are saying that. I don't think you have to be the smartest person to get this book. I don't think you have to be the smartest person to understand what it's saying, what the points are, because it's not about the philosophers as much. Yes, they're talking philosophy, but like, it's okay if you don't get it. There's not, like, every moment I'm not fully engaged. I like Peter as a character, I guess, Murdoch's, but I don't feel like incredibly attached to anybody. I don't care about saving the professor. I'm kind of just in it to, like, see hell. And even then, it's just like the people that we're meeting in hell, like a god who isn't able to cross over with her true love because she's technically an immortal, or weird deans that should be in hell, and just like the academic side of things, like Pride being a library. We didn't spend a lot of time in Desire, and then we were in Greed, and then that's like what really began the catalyst of like getting more character depth and understanding their relationship prior to all of this happening. So I think it's interesting. It's not my favorite read, unfortunately. I think I preferred Babel more than this, which I don't know if that's a popular take or not. I'm having like an alright enough time. It's not my favorite thing ever, but I'm not having a bad time either. I don't like hate it. It's really hard for me to like sit down and like want to read this one. But whilst listening and doing other stuff, it's going fine. So that's kind of my 60% check-in. I'll probably just check in when I've finished, when I'm all done with it. It's a nice, beautiful, sunny day for the first time in like a hot minute, so I'm trying to like soak it in and get those early spring cleaning done. So that's kind of my plan for the rest of the day, but I wanted to check in before I just finished the book today, so cool. I'm so tired, you guys. Like, I'm exhausted. It's Wednesday, and I luckily have tomorrow off, so I'm like splitting up the house cleaning between today and tomorrow, but I don't know if tomorrow's going to be a sunny, so I'm like nervous about putting it off all till tomorrow. I'll check in with you guys when I finish this book and we can round out this video. I haven't talked to anybody all day, can you tell? I'm exhausted. Good evening, hello. I'm off work. It is nighttime, it is dark. How are you? It's like the first part of like a kind of almost weekend, so I'm excited to be here. But the problem is, we need to talk about the fact that I finished Catabasis. Oh, what was the other way? Catabasis? However you wish to say this. I truly have so many complex feelings about this, but at the end of the day, I liked what this story was saying. I liked the fantasy elements and the design of hell. I overall liked the characters and all of this. Definitely feels more of a character study of a novel. The characters are definitely where like a lot more flaws come into this book, and I have many critiques. The overarching like feelings towards this is that I'm going to look back on this as a fond story. I think a lot of the critiques that I have for it are going to kind of slip my mind, and I'm just going to think about the things that I liked about it and loved. But I'm hoping that those fond feelings of memories and just like where I was at when I was reading this and like how I'm thinking of it as more and more time spans from when I finish this, I'm hoping that within a couple of years it'll make me want to reread this, but also read like some of the references beforehand to see if there's like a greater context I can even pick up on. I think a lot of people have a lot of opinions and feelings towards this book, and I don't think anyone is necessarily invalid. Like, I agree with a lot of the critique people have, but there's some critique that I wholeheartedly cannot agree with whatsoever. One of those critiques being that this is not a dark academia book. I think we all need to like sit back and like remember what actual true dark academia is. Like, reread The Secret History, and if you don't get it, then like maybe work on that a little bit within yourself, because this is absolutely 1000% a dark academia novel. I also don't agree with the people who say that like R.F. Kuang wrote this because she hates academia. I think R.F. Kuang loves academia. I think she also understands the flaws within the system like any other part of society. There's issues with it, and I think she's like trying to write, in maybe a cathartic way, a story about academia and the influence it has. So those ones really bothered me, where people are like, this isn't a dark academia book. I was like, where? But things that I loved about this book were hell. Oh my god. the way that she says at the beginning of this special edition in her letter, a book about going to hell became a book about how to live. And I think that's just like a beautiful way of looking at this book. Like, yes, I agree with that. I loved the ending. I loved hell and the concepts and the way that it pulled from so many mythologies and like fictional texts and treated them as if they were nonfiction. Is there plot holes in like the fantasy side of things? Is the fantasy maybe a little bit underdeveloped in like the magic system? Sure. Is it believable that a bunch of college students would not attempt to go to hell all the time, even if it was worth half of their life? Yeah, no, people are gonna do that. There would be more text on it. So like, I am able to suspend my disbelief on those things a lot more because it's a fictional fantasy world that does not follow my real life logic. Even if it's set in a contemporary setting, like it's supposed to be set in the 80s, it does not feel 80s whatsoever, which is really unfortunate. I did prefer Babel to Catabasis, but I think that's also just because the atmosphere and setting of Babel felt a lot more strong, whereas this one it's like, you're just in hell. And it could have been set at any point in time, like it didn't feel super strong and tied to the 80s. What was I saying? This is my fear of this review, is that I'm going to be talking, I'm going to try to hit so many points all at the same time that I'm going to forget where I was saying and I'm going to lose track of my own brain. I really like the concept of hell and the way that R.F. Kuang pulled from different inspirations and like kind of made them all come together while also being like, hell is a university. I thought that was really cool. I really enjoyed the concepts of that. The first 3 layers of hell definitely felt more fleshed out than some of the others, but I think that was like in design. I think you were meant to be like, this is the world that we are kind of in. And then the rest of the book really is just like a character study. Like it is focused so much on Alice and Peter and their relationship and dynamic and how they see the Professor Grimes that they're saving, but also how they see academia around them and other students. And like, yes, they're flawed characters, and that's maybe what I liked most about this book. Was the pacing off at times? Was it a little bit slow at times and drawn out? Absolutely. Definitely. 1,000%. Was there inconsistencies with the character and being like in a limited third person while still an omniscient third person? Like we felt like we were so much in Alice's head most of the time, but there were like some counterproductive conversations happening. I really liked them as characters, even if some of the decisions made I didn't agree with, or I wish that it was worked a little bit differently. I think this would have thrived as a first person narrative, to be honest, and I think it would have excused a lot of my nitpicky problems with it, but I loved having such deeply flawed characters who, in the span of 500 pages, don't figure it all out. They learn how to love life at the end and how to look at the small things and like smell the grass. And I think that's a beautiful message to take away, and something that I really strive for in my life is to find those small beauties. And maybe it's unsatisfying for other people, but I don't mind if my character arc does not have the full perfect realizations of every single flaw. I think it's realistic that you go on this journey and you maybe start to analyze some of the problems, but this isn't the end of their story. It's really just like a part of it. It's a beginning of sorts. And I think that to say, well, Alice doesn't face all of her misogyny or face the eating disorder or face any of these problems, and it's like, well, yeah, she's kind of one going through it and is dealing with her trauma that she hasn't worked through, but she's also this entire book still in the system of academia and thinking like this is the way to be recognized and this is what's important to her. And it's not until the end of the book where she starts to realize maybe that's not the way and maybe life is worth living. And so I think the end of the book is when she's going to start noticing more of these character flaws and work on it. Plus, it's set in the 80s. I don't know how many feminists were really out there in the 80s. Like, it's a dog-eat-dog world when you're one of the first women to be accepted in a university. Like, the context does matter a little bit, which is also, part of the problem because it doesn't feel super strongly tied to the 80s. But I think there's so much that this book is trying to touch on and is unable to explore every little thing. And I think some people going into this expecting it to be such a romance, don't do that. Don't go into this book for a romance. It definitely feels like it at the beginning. It definitely sets you up like, oh, this is going to be like a rivals to enemies to lovers type situation. Friends to rivals to lovers, kind of. But it's really not a focus of their romance, and so I think just having the right expectations for this will help. I like them as characters. I thought they were really interesting, and although I was definitely bored at times and wishing for a different, like, more action to be happening, I still like them. I still overall had a good time with the story. I think I'm ending at like a 3.5, 3.75 if we're being really particular. There's just so many like back and forth things. Like, we could go back and forth about this book for so long. I think there's just so much to it, and I overall had a good time with it. There was definitely moments where it was slow, but I also think that's just because of where I'm at right now in my life. I'm having a hard time focusing on most things, and so I definitely think this is a book that I'm going to think about a lot and reflect on, and hopefully read some of like the reference material and see how those impact my view, because I think this is explained well enough that you get it. If you don't get it, it's not that important. If it needs to be important, it is explained. The philosophy behind everything does not matter. That's not the important part. The important part is the characters and what they're going through. And so I think anyone is able to read this. I don't think you have to be the smartest person. There was definitely moments where I wish that I had more knowledge of the references, but that was just me personally, like, wanting to understand, because I haven't read a lot of the classics, and so that's just an area that I'm less knowledgeable in, and so it just inspired me to want to read those things. So I don't know, I think it did a good job. I think it set out to write the book that it was supposed to be, even if I would have changed some of the things that happened and the writing style of it. I still overall had a good time, and I do recommend this to people, and I don't think people should be so worried about it. I know I'm like one of the last people to read it. Everyone's kind of gotten to it, and it's definitely one of those books that you really have to take your time with, and I think sit with for a while. Like, if you asked me the night that I finished this book, I think it was 2 nights ago now, if you asked me 2 nights ago, the second I finished, to tell you anything about this book, I would have had so little thoughts, because I really just needed to sit with it for a while, because there was so much that had happened. Like, this is not like a small book. She's like almost 600 pages, and I don't think she needs to be, but I get it. Babel was also very long, and I think Babel was worth every page. Well, I think Babel had some slow moments too, but like overall, again, I look so fondly on Babel. I had such strong, happy memories with it. So I think I just really like R.F. Kuang. This is definitely not my favorite that I've read from her, but I think it set out what it meant to do. I think that it is a good sister companion to Babel, and I'm very excited to keep reading R.F. Kuang. I haven't read The Poppy War still, which is crazy of me. So I'm definitely excited to maybe get to that this year. That'd be really nice. I have copies on the shelf above me that you can't see, but it'd be really nice if I could just kind of get caught up with her catalog and just get more excited for what's to come. Oh, and I also gotta say, like, everybody hates Peter, and I kind of get it. He is a flake, and that is annoying, and I get it. But I also know that R.F. Kuang kind of writes her male, somewhat love interest based off Hiccup from How to Train Your Dragon. So, with that context, and her husband also being a Hiccup-like character, I kind of get it. I can kind of see it. Not excusing his behavior whatsoever, but I kind of see the lack of proper interest and the right way of showing those feelings. You know, I kind of see it. Anywho, side tangent, doesn't matter. That wraps up this video. Oh my goodness, I finally finished this video. I have been struggling with reading. You already know, I complained so much about it, so it doesn't matter, but I feel like I'm finally getting into the groove of reading and filming and posting and like tax season and like my schedule shifting, which is about to shift again this week. So it's just like one of those up in the air kind of times for me, but I'm doing my darndest, and I'm very excited for what is to come on my upcoming plans. I can't believe it's going to be March already. It's happened so fast, but I'm just like, I'm looking forward to everything in the future, that I'm trying not to dwell on like missing uploads and being overwhelmed, and just trying to enjoy reading right now. That's kind of where I'm at mentally, but I hope that you are doing so well. Thank you so much for watching this video and sticking it out with me, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Hopefully. Bye!